Hey there, this is Matt once again. What about another video? The paid request, this time for Lucas. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, reviews, topics, commentaries, reactions, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is for a review of an episode of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy called The Rescue Mission. Now, long story short, I've said this before, I did not grow up with Power Rangers. I was more of a Ninja Turtles guy. And I've seen some of the early pieces of Power Rangers, and it does seem pretty campy. I don't know if it's just because I didn't grow up with it, and I didn't see it as a kid. I might have seen the first '90s movie when I was in my teens, and even then I'm like, just like I said, I'm more Ninja Turtles guy. I remember not minding what was a Time Force, I believe. I could be wrong on the title. Now, for I understand, this is a time where there's quite a few seasons as is of Power Rangers, and I guess before this there was Power Rangers in space, and for I understand there was talks that was going to be the last one and no more, but it was so successful, Saban said we need to continue, so they did this one. And then also for I understand that since the space season before was so popular, they wanted to keep it in space, but like a lot of these shows, they would get their footage of fighting, action, a lot of it, not all, but a lot of it from the Super Sentai, the version overseas. And I saw one episode of those. I remember enjoyed it a lot more, the arc, than the US version. I forget what arc it was, but someone had asked me to do a comparison between a few episodes of the Sentai and a few episodes of the US. It was, I think, the Green Ranger arc. I'm like, damn, the one overseas seems more dramatic and less campy and more crazy. And I enjoyed it more, but the funny thing is that during this time, the footage they got, I believe, is stuff where the Power Rangers were in realms of nature, jungle settings, things of that nature. So they had to try to find a way to try to incorporate that into this. As you tell, like, if you watch the opening credits, like all the stuff in the U.S. is stuff in space, but then the stuff with the Sentai is all stuff in the jungle, people swimming in the jungle. But none of that matters in this episode, and I get why Lucas requested this, because Steve Wayne, who did a lot of Power Rangers, he directed this. Steve Wayne, he did Drive with Mark Dacascos and Kadeem Hardison, which I'm a big fan of that film. He also did The Diver 2, Dark Hero, which I think is a very fun movie. Steve Wayne had done effects work on the Monster Squad and even helped Stan Winston on stuff like Predator. I always thought, man, Steve Wayne would be a good choice to do a Ninja Turtles movie, at least at one point. And this was Steve Wayne's attempt at Aliens. It really is, because it's funny, this is an episode where the Power Rangers are really, like, not in it as much. They're in it for maybe a minute or so, and they don't really do anything. And this was very, I guess, outside the norm, because if you took out that minute or so with them, and you took out the opening credits, you probably would not know this was Power Rangers, because it's a space station that looks exactly like Deep Space Nine space station, and they get distress signal. They want to go get and see what they could do to help, and they put on these suits, and it looks like Starship Troopers. I mean, it's literally the outfits from Starship Troopers. I know some people say that there's a lot of media, like TV movies that did that, but it just the guns and the helmet and the way the suits look, it looks so much like Starship Troopers. I still don't know how they didn't get sued for that. So a team goes in, and you have the steered guy trying to do his bad impersonation of Hudson from Aliens. And the acting is really bad. I will say the acting is really, really bad. It's cringeworthy. It's, I don't even want to say campy. It's just dog shit. It's still shit acting. Like, whether because of the dialogue they're given or the direction they're given, I do wish this was better acted. I do wish the characters, maybe because I'm just kind of pushed into here and I don't know the whole scheme of things. But it's like I didn't care about the characters, and like I said, the acting is really shit. But it's Steve Wayne saying I want to do my version of Aliens with this tiny budget. And there is a practical creature. I will give credit. At least it's a man in a suit. I'm glad they did that instead of going for a CGI route. And I guess Steve knew that it's such a low budget of a show. He doesn't show the creature for too long. I'm like, it's the type of creature to seem like be in a Watchers sequel. Says, I mean, hell, every film of Watchers, there's a different damn monster. You have this. This creature might as well be in one of the Watchers monsters. But you tell the camera cut either it's in shadow or quickly cuts away from it. And there's a lot of shootout, a lot of gunplay, guns ablazing. There's a cool shot where the creature's here, and without cutting, it jumps and it goes onto the ceiling. Obviously, because of the show, you're not going to get much bloodshed. You're not going to get a whole lot in terms of the action, in terms of, the creature will hit someone or fuck up their weapon or push someone. But because of the type of show it is, you can't really have a lot of visceralness or violence or gore or anything of the sort, which hinders that kind of situation of putting these characters in when you have to have it tamed quite a bit. But I mean, it does seem as if it's trying to go for, I don't know if I want, maybe a bit darker. Like there's people that get webbed up and. But yeah, it does remind you of Aliens, where people are cocooned, and then you have the guy steered, doing a very bad impersonation of Bill Paxton from Aliens. And it's a lot of guns ablazing. I'm sitting there going, man, this is like a really weird Power Rangers episode. I mean, I didn't expect it, but hey, if you don't rip off Aliens, I'm fine with that, because Aliens is one of my favorite films. And you don't rip off from the best at least. And I will say it went fast and wasn't boring. There's some really ridiculous shit in it though. There's a bit where finally the Power Rangers show up and they don't really do anything. I just this one monster, one creature, and pretty much you just get the survivors out. As really the two humans with the Starship Troopers, well, they're all human, but the two without, which is the Starship Troopers shooting. And so one thing leads to another, and they're open up, can't even say the airlock, they just open up the door, and there's space right here. There's outer fucking space. And instead of being, sucked out or froze or anything, and then there's a ship over here, and they jump through space, and the other guy jumps, and the creature grabs it. So this guy is, here's the ship, here's where he's coming from, and he's stuck in the middle because the creature's grabbed him, and he's in the middle of fucking space. He's in the middle of our space, and hey, our doors are open, so that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly cool. You're not gonna freeze. You can breathe. Exactly. I know it's Power Rangers, but come on. Come on. You can't, think of some bullshit reason, like we have some force field thing, or I don't know. And then the Blue Ranger flies by, cuts the beast. Characters escape, explosion, really bad effects because it's such a low budget. Bad acting, ridiculous parts, Rangers are barely in it. They got this galaxy book thing, which I guess will be important later on. I guess if you want to see a very, very low budget, but it would have been maybe interesting if people in the Power Ranger suits had to fight this creature in this aliens type of realm. And maybe they could get weapons or they could get guns or something. I bet there's some way a ranger would shoot a gun. Or have like a couple of these creatures and the Power Rangers fighting and kicking them and they get the guns like kicking, kicking some more, kicking some more. Like you could have had that. A couple creatures. I guess they didn't have the budget for that. They barely had the budget for one creature. It just, I mean, the show is just very cheap, very silly, very ridiculous. It's just based on this one episode, to be fair. Can't base the whole show, so I shouldn't say the whole show, but this episode, like I said, it's always fun to see another iteration of Aliens. Again, Steve Wayne utilizes some practical effects on the creature, which then you don't. I didn't get a good look at it, just the way it was filmed. Let's say the acting is bad, laughable. But hey, like I said, if it reminds me of Aliens, at least I'm more than willing to give it a shot. So I appreciate at least that, Lucas. Maybe I'm just not the Power Rangers guy. I'll watch and review it if people send a request for it, but I just is that true. Again, I think it was Time Force I didn't mind, and some of the Sentai, Super Sentai stuff I didn't mind, but yeah. If you're a hardcore Power Rangers fan and you want a little bit of aliens in your diet, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy: The Rescue Mission is one to watch. Or if you're a hardcore Aliens fan, you want to see anything remotely ripping off Aliens, there you go. And like you said, rip off Aliens and then rip off the suits from Starship Troopers, rip off the space station from Deep Space Nine. Jesus. What else are they going to rip off next? Again, it's just sad that because of the structure of the show and it's a kid show, like there's a lot of limitations that comes with that. Just how it is, understandably. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later.